Good afternoon, welcome to the East End, or the old Sunderland, or just Sunderland. I thought I'd take advantage of the decent weather and have a pop down and just go for a little walk about. I haven't got any sort of plans, but I just have a little walk around and see where we go. Now, there is one of Sunderland's finest buildings. Holy Trinity Church, built 1719. When I first started writing history stuff, I always used to call it Holy Trinity, and I would get in trouble off people because I said, no, it's the Sunderland Parish Church or the Parish Church. So now I simply refer to it as Sunderland Parish Church. Now it's branded 1719 and it's used for functions, and if you ever get the chance, have a look, and it's a lovely building inside, full of history, and you need a bit of coffee. Apologies for the noise. It's seems to be like Brands Hatch around here, Silverstone at the moment, out with people speeding down here. Just trying to avoid dog crap. There is one of their biggest graveyards in the country. As you can see, it's missing something. Hardly any headstones. I'll have a look in there in a moment. This wasn't the original size of the graveyard. It did get extended in the I think it was in the early 1800s. To create extra space. It is absolutely massive. It's probably, I think, it must be 2 or 3 football pitches in size. As I said, we will have a look in there. There is Great Memorial Gardens, Parish Churchyard from 1719 to 1854, accommodates over 100,000 burials, including the gravestone of Jack Crawford and the tomb of Reverend Robert Gray, Sunderland's beloved rector from 1819 to 1838. When he died, he did have a huge funeral. Now, just a few words on that. There were burials after 1854. You could be buried by licence, because what they tried to do was they opened up Sunderland Cemetery down in Grangetown, Mia Knowles over Seaburn, and Bishop Weymouth Cemetery. So all these old churchyards, all the old vaults, they all got closed off because they were unsanitary, and they wanted brand new cemeteries on the edge of town. And the reason they were on the edge of town because the land was cheaper. If you think about it, look how far away Mia Knowles was from Monk Weymouth, or Sunderland Cemetery from over here, or Bishop Weymouth from the town. Remember, we were pretty much in the countryside at that point. There, it's huge, absolutely huge. Now, I do have doubts about that figure of 100,000 burials, because I've looked at a lot of the burial years, and as an example, in the 1700s, some of the years were like 200-300 a year, and even in the 1830s, some years were 400 odd, 500 odd, 600 odd. When it was at its most populous, that does look like a rather round figure, because I think it was around 1920 or 1930. There was an advert, like an article in the paper saying it had reached 50,000, and there wasn't 50,000 people buried between that period and when it effectively closed. From memory, the last burial was at the start of the 1900s. It was a lady who was buried in her husband's vault in there. She was the last one, and it was said that there's no more, but the amount of people buried after that 1854 would only be a minor amount. Normally, if there was some space in a family plot or vault, you could get licence, and even then you probably had to be mother or father or husband or wife. Some people having a picnic over there. Might as well have a look at this historic building over here. There it is. That is the old orphanage, built 1861. I think some organisation has it now. I see 2 police cars there. So this was a home for orphaned boys. Now, one thing I learned when I started doing all these history posts, I'd always thought an orphan was somebody who had lost both parents, but it wasn't. Generally, those times it could mean that a father or the mother was dead, and not necessarily both. So a lot of young boys were sent here to learn seamanship. And there's these lovely pillars outside. This must have been the original entrance. That boys' orphanage, Sunderland, 1861. Absolutely huge. So we get I think there was around 36 boys at any one time. There was a master of the workhouse, a mistress of the workhouse. Generally, it wasn't a particularly grim place. These boys had annual holidays, trips out. I read one trip when they went up to Teesdale, and the reports of the trip were sent back to Sunderland to go into the Sunderland Daily Echo. They'd go out with hampers. The locals would give them picnics, take them up the dales, stuff that most of the kids around here would never have ever seen. At Christmas, they always used to get a feast with stuff donated by the local community. There was also a training ship, I believe, where they used to learn. We're just heading down towards the Town Moor, which I think the orphanage was originally on the land of the Town Moor, but it has shrunk quite a bit. It would have been extensive. Effectively, this was the edge of Sunderland. So you had from here, sort of up Lawrence Street, along Sand Street, down Russell Street, down to the river, right along up to the docks and back round. Literally, this was Sunderland, and this was just the Town Moor, and then pretty much countryside with the odd farmhouse and cottage. They even used to have horse races on here in the 1700s. They used to hold them over the week, and thousands of people would come. There'd be shows on and everything, and people would come all over. I think they only had one horse race a day, and then they also had them on the beach. They used to run them on the sands. I've never actually been on the Town Moor. I'll just have a see. Obviously, when Hendon and Grangetown came into being, it lost its rural charm. You had the Hendon Valleys, the famous Hendon Valley of Love, where courting couples would go out. To be honest, I wouldn't want to go courting over there on a night. There's the South Dock over there. I hope this gate's open. Normally is. Yes, it is. Look at the size of that. Generally, it's just uses effectively a big toilet these days. I've been there before, and you're chased by dogs. There will be probably somewhere between 90,000 people buried in here. I've read some stuff saying people were buried on standing up, which wasn't the case. see, there's Trafalgar Square, another historic part. I've done a video on that. I say we're so close to the sea. I think that's the South Dock just over there, the North Sea. Just gonna have a walk down here. And as to where the headstones went, well, somebody had the bright idea, why don't we turn this into a garden? Like a remembrance garden. It was the same, it's over Sunderland Parish Church, also known as St. Peter's, around the Sunderland Minster. And that one at South Hilton as well, had all that's taken down. I think it meant it was also easier to maintain, but it also meant the loss of loads of great history. Robert Gray, rector of Sunderland. There he is. I think he's famous for Gray Road, or I think he might be his nephew was also a vicar as well, a curate of some sort. I'll see Jack Crawford's on the way out. In 1903, a historian toured the graveyard and he wrote down all the headstones that were legible, and I think when I had a look at it there was about somewhere between 500-600 headstones across here. Now I'm going to take you to where some of them were put over in that corner. Unfortunately, it's erected in memory of John Dixon, who departed this life October the 11th, 1852, aged 32 years. He was followed to the grave by a large number of friends and inhabitants, probably of Sunderland.